Welcome, Sir PT. Are you there?
Thank you very much. Yes, can you hear me well?
I hear you very
Oh,
well. That's awesome to have you.
awesome. Yeah, thanks. I expect everybody to be a little bit in the holiday season mindset. We were a little bit, but I'm very happy we can do the spaces today so we can share uh, the progress that we've been having even during the holidays. So I'm very happy for everybody to be here and especially you for hosting as well. Thank you.
Thanks, bro. I mean, it's been a tremendous year, to be honest. Grinding throughout the entire bear market, trying to build something, finding opportunities, building a network. Being here today where we are, I'm very grateful. I'm really grateful we have come together as people. Like, I've known you now for over a year. I've known quite a bit of the team for a long time, and I'm very happy to know you all. And grateful. I think just the for me it's always like the last few days of the year. I kind of reminisce and look back at the year and see what happened in the year, what did I gain, what did I learn, what could I have done better, what am I grateful for. And one of the things that I'm really grateful for is definitely the connections I've made this last year, which is going to, you know, first of all, pay out, in financial terms, but also like friendships I've gained in this space with you guys and with many other people without having ever met them, but having to learn how to trust people through a medium like a chat where it's not like you get to meet them in person on some kind of fair and you shake their hands or something. It's like a very different medium we operate in. And yeah, it's been quite amazing actually to spend so much time with people that you've never met and learn to trust them and gain their trust and work something out that in the end comes becomes actually a product that can be life-changing opportunity for people. So it's really, really nice to be here to have this conversation in between the year or in between the years and look at what you have achieved, what Accept has achieved so far. I mean, it only launched a few weeks ago, but I mean, the development progress has been going on for like many, many months. So where we're at now, and this is going to be a continuous conversation. We've been talking about this just prior to this call, how we want to have this every Friday where we just do a development update, what was happening this past week, and what will be implemented in the next week, and then you'll get constant updates every week where you get to talk with the main lead and you get to ask questions, and I think that's very, very valuable. So this week, some of us got to test the first version of the bot, and I was one of those lucky ones that actually got to test it, and it was very, very exciting. I will gladly share some feedback and what my findings were, just how the usability was. So this first alpha version is a very basic version of the bot that is about to come to the public, and one of the reasons why the team decided to only give it to a few people is because it is so basic. There's only a few but very core functionality that needed to be tested by just a few people, and then once that testing is completed, then it goes into the next phase, and we're about to complete this now. So I was able to import a wallet very seamlessly. I could generate one within the bot and then take the private key out, or bring my own private key in and attach a wallet into the bot, which is quite nice because technically I I could use a Maestro wallet or a wallet that was being used on MetaMask or wherever that has a whole bunch of tokens on it already, and then I can plug it into the exception bot, and then I can approve all of those tokens for MEV transactions, and then they would be eligible if there is a MEV opportunity. So I did that. I imported a wallet. I did some trades, like I bought some tokens, I sold some tokens. That was very, very seamless. So very fast, first of all. And then also it gave me a few steps where I could like approve the token. Um, the moment I put the address in, it gives me a nice overview of, you know, if it's a honeypot, it does some scans, and then I can decide, okay, I want to buy this amount, and I buy this amount. It goes very, very quickly. The transaction goes through very, very quickly, and then after that I can decide whether I want to approve it for MEV transactions. So I went ahead and I approved all the tokens that I bought for MEV transactions, hoping that an opportunity was arising. Unfortunately, I bought the wrong tokens. There was no MEV transaction. Some of them were just utter shitcoins that just went basically to dust. But I know some of my friends that also have been testing. They actually had some MEV opportunities in their wallet, and they got some MEV transactions. They gained some wrapped ETH as a reward for the MEV transactions in their wallet. So that was fantastic to see that it's actually working for an individual within their wallet. And so, we've been testing, we've been sharing our feedback, we've been like requesting some features, and so the developers took those features in and they will implement them. This is like, in essence, what I've been looking at this week while I was testing. Or did I forget anything, Sir PT?
No, thank you. I think you've covered basically the entire process quite well. One thing I want to touch on that's very important, what you started out with, that we have a small group of testers that is doing the alpha testing and providing the feedback, because we're at the basic stage of a usable product for users. And even though we already have tasks lined up to improve that development and the UI and the usability for users, it's good to have the feedback from people that are close to the project and have a very quick communication line. Also, why it's a small group is because we feel that I've touched on security in a previous Twitter Spaces, that security is very important, and we've provided funded wallets for the users that wanted that. But also, if we onboard a large group of people, obviously we would need to set up some type of customer support for that, because a lot of questions will arise because it's a new product for users. It's slightly different than the others, so that's something that's very important, and which will be done when we start rolling out the more public beta and onboarding more users. So there will be people for support right there. What you mentioned about the entire process of buying tokens and selling tokens and approving the MEV, that's the basic testing essential what we're doing right now. The process of creating the wallet and or importing the wallet, buying and selling, approving, and it's a manual process, and that has yielded quite some feedback from the alpha testers, which we're very happy with. And I think you mentioned that one of the things that was important for feedback. Right now, we have the process where you buy a token, and it prompts a data field of that particular token, and you have to confirm the transaction. So it's a 2-click stage right now, and it depends per user what the preference is. So one user could find that very useful because to prevent like fat finger buying or something, and somebody would buy their entire balance in a particular token. But other users might opt for a more speedy process, just paste the contract and auto buy, for instance. So those are things that was from feedback. I think that was your feedback as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was me. I tend to be more like on the ape side of things, where I just like things to go quite fast. So yeah, I just want to make sure it's not It's not going to rug me, and then I just want to ape right
Yeah.
away, and not go through a whole lot of approval steps, which is me, right? I mean, everybody has different risk settings that they want to take. So I think it's very good to have those options. I also know that some of these other bots, they don't have those options, and so it's good to have. It's definitely good to have the ability to choose whether you want to risk that approval or not. I mean, I remember when Maestro got exploited, the tokens that were drained. They could have been drained because those tokens were approved already
Yeah.
on the router. And so if that approval was not automatic, if people had that choice to not approve the tokens if they know they're going to sit on the token for a while, then obviously they would have not been drained. And so it's good to have that extra security measure.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it gives choices to users, and every user is different. Like you mentioned, one user might be more on the earlier side of token launches, for example, really on the sniper side, or try to buy as fast as possible. And other users might use it more for a trading tool, and they don't mind if it's this block or the next block, for instance. So those confirmation buttons might not bother them as much. But if you're on the early side and want to buy as fast as possible, though, getting efficiency in those processes could make a lot of difference for users. Definitely.
I agree. I very much agree. So, okay, maybe you want to go into what was accomplished this week, and then what will be focused on next week. I mean, obviously, it was a Christmas week. I'm sure everybody kind of took some time off, and so there's not that huge of an expectation. I mean, the spaces are also not as full as they usually are. So, but we can just go into, whatever was worked on this week and what is planned for next week, and then we'll take it from
Yeah.
there.
Absolutely. So we've provided alpha access on the 22nd and a couple of days before the holidays. And during the holidays last week, actually, there were a lot of minor fixes being done and pushed out, which were, for example, the sending messages when a buy was successful or if it was failed. Um, um, some infrastructure upgrades, and other than that, we took out the feedback and started the development process on that, which you can expect implementation of sometime next week. And I'll list those implementations real quick. Would be transaction result messages. I just mentioned if a transaction is failed, succeeded, or if it could not be executed by any other data. For example, if there's not enough funds or something like that. We are working on the settings. Settings was a very big feedback point, and it was on our development list already, because the more we just discussed it, the more settings you have for users without drowning them into a very long list of all types of different settings they can tweak. But you want to provide some at least basic settings at first, and the things you can think of right there are gas settings, for instance. And like you mentioned, for some it's speed is of the essence, and the buttons you need to press, but also the gas settings can be very important on that part. So people can change gas settings. For some other thing is slippage settings is very important, and if we want to do minor tips, instead of you have priority gas in GUI, but you can also have minor tips. So those are options for people to do. The auto approve is a big one, because you've touched on this before, that you can either auto approve the cell right away, but you could also auto approve the Meevbot right away. These are now separate um, um, actions that a user can take, but you can perform settings that whenever you buy a token, you can toggle whether you want to auto approve the Meevbot or the approval for cell right away. So those are all efficiency upgrades right there. So buy a token and you can already auto approve the cell or the Meevbot. Those are things that we are implementing. One important feedback point as well was that the process right now is that you would press the manual buy button, paste the contract, and then go through the buy process. And one big update that we're working on as well is parsing the data of either DexTools link or other contract formatting. So people can just like Autobots forward the DexTools contract, and when you send a contract to the bot, that it parses the contract address and then prompts the buy menu right away. So
That's a very important one, definitely.
yeah. So and that's what I like personally as well. Just that's what I do. I forward just the DexTools link, and then it prompts the buy menu. So that's something that I really like as well. Some other thing, selling, for instance, right now, if you want to sell a token, you have to input the amount of tokens you want to sell, and we're upgrading that with the option to sell a percentage of that, and we'll be exploring more options down the line as well. So we've gotten different feedback points on that actually. Some users like to input the amount of tokens they want to sell. Other users would like to set an ETH value they would like to receive, and then the bot would calculate the amount of tokens it would need to sell of those holdings. And others would prefer like a percentage of the holdings to sell right there. So those are things that we'll be implementing to give the user to modify to their preference.
Yeah, I think that's very good. Those are good points. I mean, everybody has experience with these other bots, so it's great to use that experience and build on it, and say, okay, these are the things that are not seamless, or at least entirely seamless in the other bots, and so we can build on that and make it better. So that's a good thing, right?
Exactly. And one thing that we've implemented already was we noticed that if you want to perform a buy of a token, and you press the manual buy button right now, paste the contract, and then you select the amount of ETH you want to spend, it prompts a message with data, and the data would be the amount of tokens you would receive, and that's based on the current liquidity pool balances of the token, and the gas expenses for that. But that's based on the current gas price. Now, we all know that blocks are about 12 seconds on Ethereum. So it's important if you would, for instance, prompt that message and you drop your phone by accident, and 12 seconds pass and a new block is mined, or other transactions have taken place and new gas settings are there. We've implemented now that you have a refresh button. You can refresh the latest data, and without having to go through the entire process once again. Now, this is right now a button, and obviously we're going to implement interval updates that it would update automatically for each block.
Nice, very nice. That's a very good feature. So I mean, we're talking, but I'm not sure. Maybe you can just go into exactly what's happening for next week, and then um, basically, if like what I like to do on a Friday is to show, okay, this is being done. This actually has been released, and people are using, like the testers are already using it. So what can testers expect to be done during next week, and be usable in the bot, like by the end of next week, if that's something you can answer.
I think the majority of the features that um, I just went over, and mostly we would be updating the gas settings, the auto approve settings, and the slippage settings. Those are the first ones that will be implemented, and there is other development going on, which is being tested on separate bots right now, but I can't disclose what the details on those just yet. So those will be announced when we roll out.
Okay, nice. I mean, last week we also spoke about a market making bot.
Yes.
In our last call.
Yes.
And I think that is an excellent feature. I was thinking about it a lot this week, where I was, in different projects, it's really, really nice to have that kind of ability, and to say, okay, this is where I want people to be able to buy the bottom, and this is where I want people to, like, place the top. And I've seen in many projects how they hire very expensive market makers, and some of these market makers are quite useless, and they end up eating through the funds without really protecting the chart properly. And so if projects have the ability, or even users have the ability, to use their funds in a way to manage the chart in a nice way, I think that's going to be a tremendous feature that a lot of people will be using. Is there some sort of timeline on that whole scenario when people or when at least alpha testers will be able to get their hands on that?
There is, but I'm not at liberty to disclose the actual timeline, because that's one of the features that we will just drop and allow testers to start testing. And we are also very interested in this feature. I can mention that for sure.
Fantastic. Okay, so I mean, this is great. I love these conversations. Like I said, it's nice to reminisce on what has been developed and what is going into development in the near future. And then also, like you said, the ETA for people to actually get their hands on is still a few days out. But in the meantime, all these things are being tested and developed, so once it gets into the public hand, they're going to get a full-fledged project that they can actually work with and start using right away.
Yes, for sure. And at that point, the development it actually increases. The speed of development increases. At some point, we are able to, because the basic infrastructure is already in place, so we'll be able to push smaller updates more frequently, while the users are actually using the product and providing feedback to support teams. So, but most definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That was always it's very, very nice to hear you and your very detail oriented answers that you always give, and I think everybody appreciates that when they come on Spaces. So if anybody has some questions that they would like to ask, we have like 1 or 2 minutes that we can keep this open before we close the half an hour. So you can hop in the exception chat in Telegram and just post your question if you so want, and Sir PT would be happy to answer it. But you have to be fast, because we're not here all day. Okay, in any case, I wish everybody a great start in the new year. It's awesome to have you all with us on this journey with Exception. And let's make 2024 an exceptional year, where we all find a lot of success together. Okay, thanks all for tuning in. have a wonderful start into your new year.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Mavic, baby.